All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another dinner and discussion. All right, Gabe, what are we going to attempt to eat today?
We're going to attempt to eat a pizza from Better Goods. It is I don't have my glasses, so I can't read the box.
Rosemary and garlic chicken pizza.
There you go. It's going to be a more adventure eating. I apologize now if it looks like I'm eating, if you ever pay attention to me eating. Because I got two of my wisdom teeth out, and so this is one of my first meals still of me attempting to eat with them not being there. There's not much pain anymore, but like it's a little weird still. So we'll see. But what's our topic?
Family vacations.
Can I start?
Sure, why not? Gizmo, get out of the kitchen. Sir, sorry. Gizmo's in the kitchen. He knows he's not supposed to be there, but he's looking for that food. Okay, family vacations. I would ultimately say that my opinion in the last year has probably changed. Maybe not full year. Actually, since like January. January is probably when my opinion changed. So like my old opinion, I honestly didn't think that children should be out in the world until they were like functioning. And again, this was an old opinion, so please give me grace. Because I now realize, due to like Gabe and I have been exploring the idea of starting our own family, like how impractical that is for you to put your life on pause until your children get to like the right height, age, behavior, whatever. And then two, it's just like totally not cool to try to determine when someone can experience joy or not. So like definitely have evolved my mindset on it. And it's also been like shown that like the more you like expose your kids to the traveling aspects, like flights, long car rides, like, you know, building up patience in lines, like those kind of things, like the more you expose your kid to that, the better they're going to handle it. So, the choice of avoiding something isn't always the best, but, I don't know. As someone who lives far away from their family, I love family vacations. I love group vacations in general. Like Gabe and I have been very fortunate enough, I feel like, in our life that we have been able to travel the world a lot. For people that didn't necessarily grow up in households that went on crazy vacations. Not saying that we didn't get to go on any vacations, like we definitely have. But they weren't super extravagant or super frequent. They were like kind of like milestone things and like saving up and stuff. But so I think it's been traveling is so awesome, and like vacations are awesome if you can afford them, and I am a firm believer that every vacation's affordable. It's just a matter of like timing and budget. And so like saving and like planning ahead are great tools to be able to afford a vacation. You might not be able to be as spontaneous, but I think they're still doable. But I think it's just cool. I think it's valuable just to get outside of your little bubble. And I think anytime you leave your house for, you know, an overnight somewhere is a vacation. And I think we should normalize that. Family vacations don't have to be 7-day adventures where you're going to a whole new country. Like that is a vacation, but that's not all the vacation is. Like you could rent a cabin in a town, you know, 3 hours away from you or something. Like I think a vacation is just going somewhere that's outside of your normal environment and spending intentional time with the people around you. But I think more people should try to advocate for at least going on once a year or one every other year, and just making them maybe not as extravagant if budgeting is a concern, which usually it is, that and like time off.
Yeah, no, family vacations. I think family vacations definitely were an interesting thing growing up, at least from like my side. It was an interesting dynamic with my family vacations because one side of my family would go on a lot of vacations and the other side wouldn't. Again, being from like divorced parents. And so like one parent would be very much vacation heavy and the other parent wouldn't be vacation heavy. And so it was very interesting kind of like living in like, I think both of those worlds with being in divorced parents, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times, you know, it's one of those things where like the fun parent, not the fun parent, you know what I mean? Like, this parent's taking all the vacations, doing all this, you know, the other parent is there on your regular day-to-days, your school, all the, you know what I mean? Like, I think family vacations were very interesting for me growing up, at least post-divorce. Before that though, you know, we did the typical once lifetime trip to Disney, which has now become a pretty frequent trip for us. In some capacity, we are seeing the mouse.
The mouse has a chokehold on Gabe and I, mostly me.
I was like, I'm trying to take away the chokehold.
Don't let Gabe fool you guys. Maybe this started as a me dragging him to it, but now he gets just as pumped as I do. So we are both deeply entangled in this mess. For everyone, I suggest Gabe's not telling me no, okay? So don't let him fool you.
But yeah, I think, but as you know, as we gone on, you know, I mean, I wasn't a vacation person either, so I really didn't go on vacations a lot. I probably didn't start going to places till I was with Lex. And she was just, you know, let's do this, let's do that, let's go here. And that started off small stuff for us, you know, at one point we did a lot of road trips. You know, we would drive to different places just because it was so near us. Being in Texas, that's a little hard to do, at least with other states or other places in the country, because any road trip we take,
still in Texas.
Yeah, it takes us at like least minimum 8 hours to get out of the state in any direction, since we're probably close to the center. And so flying was usually our go-to, and we flew to a lot of places. And I think me and Alexis, the one thing for us is that we are always down to go to new places or anything like that. If we can afford it, we can budget it, you know what I mean? And like Lex mentioned, like budgeting I think plays a huge factor in vacations. If you like plan it out from like your hotel, the cheaper hotel, where you're staying, what you're doing, you know what I mean? Like having some kind of plan, or at least understanding what you want to do on said vacation so that we can budget for it or like think around it. I think will like have a big impact on you being able to afford the trip. Now, can you do that trip all the time? Maybe not. You know, like say maybe it's an annual thing, maybe it's a biannual thing, but you know what I mean? Like it's enough to where like, it's a great opportunity, not just for you, but especially if you have a family, for them to explore like the world around them. You know what I mean? Like understanding that the world isn't on the TV or like online, you know what I mean? Like there are other places, there are other cultures, there are other things to see. I think like right now we're watching Amazing Race is a big thing we've gotten into, and just watching that and seeing them, living through them vicariously right now, seeing all different countries, all different places, exploring all different cultures, being a part of all these different worlds, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's competition, but like, man, just seeing like, there's so much of the other world, and sometimes you're not, you know what I mean? I think sometimes you have to make it a priority to like see that. Now with families, that's a lot harder. I'm not gonna like tooth and nail about that, you know what I mean? Like you have not only your schedule, your partner's schedule, depending how old your kids, how many kids you have, their schedules, you know what I mean? Like you can't just like, especially if they're in school, you can't be like, all right, we're gonna go to a trip. It's the middle of October. They got school, you know what I mean? Like in, you know, unless you like homeschool them, you know what I mean? Like private, public, charter, you know what I mean? Like they're at school. You can't just like take them out, you know what I mean? They got other things going on. Weekends get harder to fill because they got extracurriculars, you know what I mean? Like so it gets harder to plan definitely vacations as a family. But I think a cool thing I saw as a vacation thing was for families is like having the input of like the kids. You know what I mean? Like, where do you want to go? And you know, I've seen one where it was
their buy-in,
yeah, a parent asked like, hey, where do you want to go? I'll front like half. They were like a teenager or like close to college already, but they're like, oh, I'm going to Japan for like a week. And the mom's like, okay, cool. But like, I'll front half of it and you get the other half. You know what I mean? And then like, cause then they'll, you know, work towards it, do this, cause they already had a job, you know, it's gonna teach them the saving, all that kind of stuff. But like the kid also learned Japanese. The kid also, we kind of planned the trip. The mom's like, hey, I'll pretty much just like back it. I'll fund it. But like, you're kind of coordinating all this. I'll do all the things you can't do as a parent, like as a teenager or whatever. But like, I'll do that. I think having that buy-in And for kids, you know what I mean, that could be something small. For them, they'd be like, I want to go to a water park. All right, that's a vacation we want. Go to a water park in a different state. But like, you know, as they get older, I want to go to Paris. You know what I mean? Okay. You know, like you're gonna have to like put the
Take 'em to
responsibility.
Epcot. That's all the countries.
Put the responsibility on them. I think is a great like buy-in for family. And again, this is different for each family. You know what I mean? I can't say like, oh, just do this and it'll work. That's not the case. Every situation is different. What your finances are, what your budgets are, you know what I mean? Like flights are crazy expensive now. So like me and Lex, it's like I could see it being expensive. I couldn't imagine right now paying for like 5 tickets on a plane right now to go somewhere. Like that is the vacation right there. You know what I mean? The cost of like a regular vacation is just the flights to get them over there. So like it's tough, but I think if done right, you plan for it, you look for the best things, you know, there's opportunity to make it happen. You can't, I mean, it's not like a flat no, which I never wanted to be for us. Like a flat no, that's never gonna happen. Well, let's, you know, like, okay, how will we make that work? Like, let's figure that out. Like, how to make that work. Is that something we do next year? Is that something we do in a couple years? But like, let's start now to make it a reality, you know, like at some point. And that's something I think a lot of people, they're like, oh, I can't do it now, so it's never gonna happen. Well, you might not be able to do it now, but in like 2-3 years, you might be able to, you know, explore Europe or do something cool or go South America, something like that.
Yeah, I would say like too, like my 2 cents of being like, start small, like romanticize your life. So like, for example, like we live in Texas, like we have the luxury of Texas being a huge ass state. So like there's a lot to do, there's a lot of cities. But like say, like we were back up in Wisconsin, like, you know, there's a couple big cities, like there's really beautiful nature landscapes. Like start small. Cause like Gabe said, like flights are getting crazy out here. Like when Gabe and I moved to Texas, we moved away. We used to be able to visit our family for like $300. Like 2 of us round trip, a flight, $300. Now it's like $300 a person, $400 a person to go somewhere. And I'm sure there's like cheap flights. You can get on standby if you're really adventurous and like, you know, do that kind of thing. And like a family's 2 people, just as if it, you know, 3, 4 with children. Like it's not just, you know, including kids, meaning family. Like it's a group of people. It's really anything that's a step beyond solo traveling. So like if you're a couple and you're flying by the seat of your pants, mad props, go on a standby list. Like get that $60 flight to some random city. And like, you know, that's the other luxury of vacations too. Like there's people that plan and they love the itinerary and they need to save because they have more, you know, financial, you know, parameters. And then there's people that are like, hey, we've got $200 and we got a free weekend. Let's go to the airport and let's catch a flight and let's go somewhere. Like there, you know, that's the cool thing about vacations. It really can adhere to anybody. But if you start small, in my opinion, like, and build kind of like your vacation legs in the sense of like, you learn how to, you know, do a road trip, you know, how to entertain yourself in a car for longer than 3 or 4 hours. Like, you know, trying to navigate activities if you do have children, like organizing like pet sitters. Like that's a hurdle in itself to taking vacations, is how do you prep your home or your apartment for a long-term, like going on vacation? Like, do you have any food that's going to go bad in the fridge? Or like, do you have pets that need to be looked after or plants to water? Like that stuff all needs to be considered in family vacations too. And so if you start small and you go in like your backyard, you're likely to find some hidden gems. So when people come and visit you and they're like, what do you do around here? You can actually have some answers, you know. And it's usually a lot more affordable to like rent out one night of an Airbnb or check out a cool hotel. Like for us, like a vacation that Gabe and I have planned, we just haven't had a chance to do it, is like in Round Rock, there's this place called the Ruby Hotel. And like Gabe is obsessed with the design element and it's very pretty. It's like navy blue and dark and mysterious and very like speakeasy 20s vibes, I would say, are the rooms. And like Gabe and I have been wanting to spend a weekend there. You always overlook those because your brain tells you have to do something extravagant for a vacation. And so like that's something that Gabe and I have in our back pocket. They're like, oh, we should spend the week or a weekend at the Ruby Hotel. And like, you know, that's a simple thing where now you just have to pay for the hotel and maybe one night of dinner. That's a little bit more doable on a budget. than trying to plan a weekend of activities or a week or whatever. So like I would say start small if vacations are important to you, but maybe not financially accessible at this moment. You know, romanticize the area around you. And then I know something Gabe and I plan on doing, like if we're ever fortunate enough to start a family, like we aren't really material people. Outside of like our hobbies, I guess, here and there, but like we really don't collect a lot of things. We're more like, let's go see things, let's go like learn about different cultures, that kind of stuff. And so I know Gabe and I, we really plan on like putting vacations up there instead of like gifts. We're not big gift people. And so like for Christmas, you know, maybe instead of doing a bunch of gifts for everybody, we do a family vacation. And so if you set those kind of goals maybe, or like part of what Gabe was talking about, it might be the same story or similar, but it was a mom. And so for each one of her children's 16th birthday, she has them pick a country, and like they have to like, again, plan the trip, save up a little bit of money for the trip, and they have to like learn about that place. And if it requires a new language, they have to learn that language, or at least like enough to get by. And then, you know, so that's something like maybe they don't go on a bunch of vacations, but you know, on your 16th birthday, we're going big for you. You know what I mean? And so if you set those kind of expectations where you don't vacation so often, but you vacation one time and it's a huge trip, because again, it's a luxury. There's so many people that never leave their home state. So just by going to a different state, you know, is huge to some people. And then even going into a new country is even like unimaginable, like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just one of those things that it's very doable if you plan, but it also has the ability to be spontaneous, and you can do it where you set it up to where it is not an expectation. You have to go big every single time, and you have to do it a lot.
Yeah.
But everyone should vacation, because you need to leave your house. Life is worth living. You know, there needs to be balance is my whole premise of things.
100%. I would say, just switching it up, what's one like family vacation that always like stands out for like me? I'll say one that's between me and you, and then one like growing up. One growing up, one that always stand out to me is, I think it's kind of a culmination. I did one with my mom and one with my dad, was going back to Puerto Rico for trips. When I went with my dad, it was more of like the touristy side of Puerto Rico. So we did, you know, all kinds of stuff. We went in the waters. We went, you know, downtown. We did like all the touristy, you know, like zip line, you know, all kinds of stuff. Or then with my mom, since my mom's Puerto Rican and that side of the family, we went like more inland to where a lot of like our family's from, and like visited those towns, visited like relatives, see what it's actually like to like live on the island, and experience it and be part of it. So like, and visit my like family there, and just like see, you know what I mean? Like I think it's just a really awesome opportunity just to see all that. And those are my two, like, so I got to see both sides of what's like being on the island. My favorite like vacations growing up, and then one that always I always enjoy with Alexis. It wasn't a big vacation, but it was when we were in Wisconsin, and Lex and I were at a Red Robin, and we were like, "You'll be crazy right now."
I thought it was an Applebee's.
Was it an Applebee's? I thought it was a Red Robin because we were in Dubuque.
I don't know. Maybe it was a Red Robin.
It was a chain, and we were like, you know what? Let's go to the Dells, like tomorrow, for the weekend. Let's just get a room. Let's just go like get crazy. Let's just go on the lazy river and get like drinks, and just like in the hot tubs, and just like do it all. And then we just left. The next day we just went, and we had a blast. It was the first moment Lex and I understood that we are not meant for fine dining. Because we were at the pools and hot tubs, and we're like, wow, let's get like a nicer, let's like find a good place to eat dinner that isn't a little more like, isn't as chainy. And we went to this place. It was all like dim lit, and like it was a little more empty because of course it's the Dells. And Lex and I are coming in like in our wet bathing suits and wet clothes. And
no, we weren't that bad. We weren't that bad. We were wearing ripped jeans.
I was wearing like shorts and like flip flops.
I don't think we were in our swimsuits, but we definitely were not dressed to code for this restaurant.
No, and us being there, and we were kind of buzzed already, and so like being in there, I was like, and we ordered things, and I was like, this is not what I expected to eat at all, and I was like, we have to finish this fast because we are not meant to be in this location right now. So that's always been one of my favorite ones with Alexis because it had zero planning, and it was still such a fun time.
So much fun.
I think it was during the winter too, so like going outside in the hot tub was really cool because like the snow's around you, but you're like in the hot water. It was really cool.
And your drinks float at the Dells. If you
Yeah,
get one of
put them
those,
in the water
if
and
you
they
get
just
one of those giant
floating.
things. Yeah. Side note, we had poor planning with this dinner and discussion today. Our DJI stand might die, so if it cuts off mid conversation, just thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of this. We're still going to put it up. We're not gonna wait for it to charge and add more to it. So if it ends abruptly, it ends abruptly, and we're just apologizing in advance. You know, we're just here doing our best. But I would say one family vacation that sticks out for me, and I will forever remember this vacation, was so growing up, my family only ever did 2 vacations. We either went to Oklahoma City to visit my aunt that lives in Sapulpa from Wisconsin, or we would go to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Like those were our 2 trips. We'd go during the spring break, and like we would drive because in the Midwest you'll drive anywhere. Like I don't know it. You know, put in the comments if you agree or disagree with that. But like growing up, like my mom was like 12-hour drive, no biggie, and we have definitely adopted that mentality because we've done. I mean, we literally just drove to. We just drove to Disney. I thought I was using the wrong tense of drive, and that was like a 17-hour drive. And, you know, we barely bat our eyes when we made that decision to do it. So, one time my mom took it too far, though. She took it too far, and she had a friend that she worked with that moved down to Florida. And this friend had a Suburban that was probably like 10 years past its prime. Like, it needed to be retired. And she somehow, with her daughter, drove from Florida all the way up to Wisconsin. So it's like a 22-hour drive up to Wisconsin and picked us all up. So by all of us, it was her daughter. It was her grandsons, twins, boys that were like, I want to say like 10 maybe. And then it was my sister. And then it was me, and I was like, I want to say 15, maybe a little younger, because there was I felt like a good age difference between me and these twin boys. We loaded up in this Suburban that did not have functioning windows, did not have functioning AC, and we geared up for a 22-hour car ride back to Florida. And mind you, this friend didn't necessarily live in like a kid-friendly area of Florida. Like she lived kind of in the desert. I didn't even know Florida had desert, but that's where it was going to take us like an hour and a half to get to the coastline to see the ocean. But my mom was like so excited to go. Like she was like, heck yeah, we're all going to do it. Horrible car ride. Then boys wouldn't stop screaming, crying, fighting. It was hot. There was nothing to do. Like it was before, you know, DVD players and the switches and all the technology that you can have now in a car ride. It was just all of us just experiencing life on this 22-hour drive. Horrendous. And then thankfully we got a flight. We always planned on flying back home, so we only had to do the drive there. So that was nice. But what sucked about the trip is we had all these plans. Like we were going to go to X, Y, and Z. And on our way to X, which was the ocean, the car died. The Suburban did not go no more. So we never got to see the ocean. We pretty much just had to stay in this friend's house and occupy ourselves. And we did get to go to the water park one time. during our like 4-day, 5 days that we were there. But again, younger boys they were always fighting. It was just, I don't have any good memories, honestly, from this trip. And I told my mom next time she wants to do this to just not include me, because it was not fun. And my mom was also at that stage in her life too, where she would just leave us at the house and she would go do whatever she wanted to do. So her and her friend had a great time because they would go out, leave us with her friend's older daughter to watch us. And she would just live her best life. We did not get to live our best life. So yeah, that's probably one of the few vacations that sticks out in my head that I'm like, let's never do that again. Gabe and I, we have been fortunate enough to go on a lot of vacations together. And I'm trying to think of which ones like my favorite or stuck out. I'm going between probably one of the best trips that Gabe and I went on, just because every time Gabe and I traveled together, we always tend to like go past our limits and prove that we just have some ungodly amount of stamina or some shiz. But I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. I know I'm, such a cookie cutter person. Disney, Taylor Swift, just white girl trifecta. I get it. But Taylor Swift's amazing. I got to see her on her first half of the tour with a friend, and I just feel like I didn't get to really experience it. And so when she came back for round 2, I asked Gabe, I was like, hey, if we buy some nosebleed seats, will you go with me? And he's like, sure. And so I somehow snagged 2 seats in Indy for $120, and they were nosebleeds. Like, this shit was almost vertical.
5 rows from the top of Oiler Stadium.
Yeah, it was. But like, it was amazing just to be there. And the poor family next to us spent like in the 4 digits for these seats. So like, the fact that I spent 120 was amazing. But the part of the trip that was fun is, so Gabe and I flew into Indy, rented a car, went to the concert got over at 11:30. Then we drove said car to my grandma's, got there at like 4 in the morning, and then slept for a little bit, and then drove, and then got to go to a wedding of one of our old college friends, and we got to like see everybody that we haven't seen in forever. And then we flew back. So all of that happened in a span of a weekend. And it was just incredible, because that's the one thing that like is so memorable to me, is like Gabe and I do so well under pressure. Like, we do so well under pressure together, and it's so something that like was such a chaotic weekend. Like, most people like bicker or like can't, or like have differences of how to spend their time and everything. And like Gabe and I, like we develop like a loose plan, and then we fill in the gaps with whatever the heck we please. And so like, that was a trip that I remember being like, if Gabe and I can get through this, we can get through anything. Which we say that a lot. Every trip almost. We're like, if we can get through this, we can get through anything. Like, another trip that I was like in my head thinking about is when we went to California to visit Gabe's friend JT out there. And we did Disneyland in a day. So we literally flew to Las Vegas, rented a car, drove to California.
Middle of the night,
which apparently is a very dangerous road. 3 to 4 hours, I want to say. Got to meet JT at like 1 in the morning, which we haven't seen him forever, so that was amazing. Did Disneyland the next day, a whole day at Disneyland. We drove back with JT at like midnight back to his house, only to then go to Long Beach.
Drive to Long Beach,
California. Did a couple days in Long Beach, and then drove back to Vegas. Did a day in Vegas, and then fly. So like, Gabe and I are crazy.
Oh, I had a busted foot too.
Yeah, we got to see the San Diego Zoo, and I pushed Gabe in the wheelchair the whole time. Which, if you've been to the San Diego Zoo, it is no joke. It's large, it's beautiful, and it's hilly. And so like, yeah. But we every time we want to test ourselves. We're like, we skipped the building the IKEA furniture together. Now we just go on crazy ass vacations, and we just see if we're gonna make it. And we always do. And that's because I think we're just go with the flow people. And Gabe, it really takes a lot to make Gabe upset, like a lot. So that helps when one of us has like ironclad patience around here. But yeah, so I would say between those two were my two favorite memories, was Indy and the wedding, and then California, because just we got to check so many things off of our list, and just getting to spend time together. Like I said, like that's why you can always go close to home. Is vacations at their core are, one, getting you away from your environment so you can kind of have some downtime, and two, it's relaxing with whoever you're with. Like those are your two elements of a vacation. And so like getting the luxury to do that is really cool. So I would definitely encourage people to try to do some semblance of a vacation, no matter big or small.
No, 100%. Yeah, family vacations I think are important, and they could be anything and everything. A lot of people just do a lot of weekend trips, and that's their family vacations. You know what I mean? Like, and that's 100%. You know, it is what it is. So I think my big thing, I think the ending note is like, find a way to do it. I think it's important that you explore the world, your state, your country, your other countries, other parts of the world. You know what I mean? Like you're only here for X amount of time. You know what I mean? Like, and there's so much of the world that a lot of people just don't get the opportunity to see, or at least get closer to see. And so I think you should find ways to make that happen through work, on your own time off, like through family, plan things together, cruises to get to places, you know what I mean? Like road tripping to places if you can. I think it's just, should find a way to do it into some capacity, whatever that is for you. So.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I thought I hit you with the chair. My last caveat, this is me being a little selfish to note. But in the description, I'll link my travel page because I talk about Disney all the time. So Gabe and I decided it'd be cool. Well, I decided Gabe is supporting me on the decision to become a travel agent. So I am certified in Disney travel and Universal travel right now. And then I plan on expanding that skill level to like other cruise lines and to other vendors, so that way I can like book all types of travel. So if you have any specific Disney or Universal questions, or just travel questions in general for a travel agent, feel free to hit us up in the comments, or follow my Facebook page for any like deals or stuff that's going on with Disney and Universal at this moment. So we made it. It did not die. And it was a pleasure discussing family vacations.
Yeah, 100%. We'll catch you all next week when we do the next one. All right.
Bye.